guys and goddesses, what's good, y'all? Welcome back to another episode of Rock Conversation. Today we're having a dope panel discussion, which I'm super excited about. We'll be talking about healing the sacred divide. Basically, we'll be bridging the gap between sexuality and spirituality. So I'm super excited. We're going to start off with a prayer from Fuka. So let's go ahead and tap in. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure you guys subscribe and all that good stuff.
Thank you very much for that intro, Kai. Let's pray. Okay. O cosmic creator of all radiance and vibration, soften the ground of our being and carve out a space within us where your presence can abide. Fill us with your creativity so that we may be empowered to bear the fruits of our mission. Let each of our actions bear fruit in accordance with our desire. Endow us with wisdom to produce and share what each being needs to grow and flourish. Untie the tangled threads of destiny that bind us as we release others from the entanglement of past mistakes. Do not let us be seduced by that which would divert us from our true purpose, but illuminate the possibility of the present moment. For you are the ground, the fruitful vision, the birth, the power, and fulfillment. As all is gathered and made whole once more, let it be so. Amen.
Ashe. Well, let's go ahead and get on into it, you guys. Excuse me. But let's go ahead and start. So, Gia, I'd love to hear your perspective first because I know that we were all discussing on what topic that we should discuss, and I find that for one, this one is kind of controversial. It's exciting and pretty juicy. So, and I'm like still a baby in this subject. So I'd love to, if you have like questions that you'd like to start off with us, or just lead us here.
I guess for me, well, we first have to understand why there needs to be a bridging of the two. So let's start there. What caused there to be a separation between spirituality and sexuality? And there is something extremely spiritual about sexuality, about bringing life, about that whole process. So where did that divide happen? Where did that start with? I think we should start there and work our way outward. So what do you guys think caused this kind of divide between the two that now we're having to kind of bring the two together?
Because the whole world is in its root chakra. We're not moving from the crown anymore. Remember back in the day, right? Because I know the OGs in my family, right? So the OGs already know you got to move from here and here before you can even get there, right? So with certain things that's in place that we see in front of us on a TV, on a computer screen, on our phones, the hypersexuality, especially when it comes to feminine right now, because they know that the feminine is the stronger vessel, right? Despite what, certain biblical texts may say and how people perceive it, this is my perception. That the feminine is the stronger vessel right now. And through her intuition and through her portal opening, right, is the only way that the masculine will be able to push through and truly see the warrior that he is. Because with every, good man comes a greater woman, right? We've all heard that. So, with that being said, I think that the hypersexuality and certain agendas that's being played out right now is ultimately influencing the feminine to move within her lower chakras. And, we are already masculine, so we move off of, not saying that we move off our lust, but it's our primordial instinct, to gravitate towards that. Sometimes with the dumbing down of the masculine, we give into that agenda. And when we give into that agenda, that's when we see how everything becomes a full circle to play around that concept. Being, um, okay, so we're just gonna say being child support. We're gonna say being Section 8. You see a lot of divine feminine, or not even divine feminine, I would say feminine, because a lot of them now are in that lower chakras, right? So I can't really say divine, but I can say feminine. Um, the government and certain clauses and things of that nature gives women the advantage. And it's a play, which is an amazing play, because if you can get to, if you can get the divine feminine to demasculate the, divine masculine and break those families up, and stop the discipline from being there, stop the organization and the structure from being there, um, you ultimately win. So, it's not a shot against the divine feminine, what I'm saying. It's a shot against the elites and the ones who have written out these agendas for years and years and years and years. You know what I mean? To ultimately try to destroy the divine masculine through the divine feminine. And we all know that yoni is something else. You know? That man get a piece of that yoni and that yoni good, that man gonna do whatever. Am I right or am I wrong? So it's all an agenda and it's all interconnected, but you have to be aware and you have to have a certain level of discernment and perception to see through the veil. And that's where the bridge is. It's so many of us masculine that can't see through the veil and we can't take a leadership role to say, hey, let me pull you out of this shit and bring you back here, whether we're in a relationship with them or not. Divine masculine only search for the yoni, but you're not really tapping into her spirit to see who she truly is as a divine feminine. And the yoni doesn't matter anymore. You feel
What do you
me?
mean? What do you mean
Yeah.
exactly?
From a divine masculine perspective, the yoni doesn't matter. I see who you truly are as a divine feminine, and we have to nurture and raise that energy and build structure around it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You
definitely.
know, it's yin
That's
and yang. It's pieces to the puzzle. You know,
yeah.
when you got
That's
that
why those pieces
when you got
foundation.
that 1,000 piece puzzle, and you looking for that last piece, that's the last piece.
Missing link.
Is the
Yeah.
peace and the love, the true love, the unconditional love for the divine
Yes.
feminine, whether she's only 5 years old or 20 years old.
Yeah. And
Nurturing it,
that
nurturing the
connection
energy,
is
not
powerful.
nurturing the physical. And that's where we bridge the gap. When we meet at the middle of the bridge.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my perspective.
And
I agree. I think that, um, to separate the two is a it's a well thought out play, because when the two come together, when the divine feminine and the divine masculine come together, there's powerful energy within that in that space when they come together in an intimate way, because we all know that sexual energy is an exchange of energy, right?
Yeah.
So like, that's, as we all know, if we are, how do I say it? Like, if we're distorting that energy, we're not taking care of that energy, we're polluting that energy, it creates blockages in our own creative abilities,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yep.
So it's like we have to understand that, for one, sexual energy in general is not just simple, it's not just having sex with someone. Sexual energy is creative energy, it's life force energy. So we have to be very mindful of who we're giving our life force energy to, who we're exchanging that with.
Yeah. Yeah. And that goes both ways, right? That's not just the feminine, that is both the masculine and the feminine. The
Yes.
masculine has to be very mindful on where he, I don't know how to speak, but
Make
I'm
it going.
you know, how he engages, okay, how he engages with the sex, and so and especially the feminine as well too, because we're receiving whatever the heck they're, giving, and so it's both having to be having that mindfulness. You can't just be out here just doing whatever, because that energy, you can't just be putting it wherever. I have to think of how to reword certain things.
Yeah,
In this conversation. Go ahead, Puka,
you,
you
you.
were saying
Am I audible? Can you guys hear me?
yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Okay, awesome, awesome, awesome. Chicolas, I agree with Crandall. There is an agenda, and fundamentally this agenda, what you call this, I will describe it, what you call this, as an agenda to break up, what you call this, because what you call this, men and women have a natural attraction to one another. What you call this. Men are attracted to femininity, what you call this, and what you call this, women are attracted to masculinity. What you call this. So the agenda is essentially to remove this attraction, by turning the men into what you call this, turning the men feminine, because women are not attracted to feminine, and turning the men, what you call this, the women masculine, because what you call this, men are not attracted, what you call it, to what's masculine, what you call this. Thus, what you call this, breaking apart, what you call this, this bond, that has what you call this, allowed, our human family to grow from, what you call this, from whatever number it was, to what we have today, which is 7 billion, what you call this, which is not a small thing, what you call this, and it's a really powerful, you know. And so definitely, there's been an agenda to do that through television, through the music that we listen to, through radio, what you call this, and all the mainstream outlets, Um, 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 what you call this, and really, what you call this, the whole agenda behind this, because spirituality, what you call this, is about awareness, what you call this, consciousness, and what you call this, intentionality, what you call this. So what has been done, what you call this, is to separate it, what you call this, to make it seem like, what you call this, it's not so serious, right? You can just play with it, have fun with it, what you call this, forget about the consequences that, what you call this, when it's done, what you call
Yeah.
this, an act of creation occurs, right? What you call this, a baby is born, what you call this, which is not a small thing, that is the power of the Most High, the power of the Creator, what you
Yeah.
call this, very, very powerful force, what you call it, and it's something that is very, very serious, very, very serious consequences in your life, what you call this, because once that baby is born, what you call this, it's not about you anymore, it's about making sure that child is raised in an environment, what you call this, that which is going to be good, nourishing for the child, and what you call this, will give that child the best outcomes, what you call this, in life, what you call this, and what you call this, helping that child in cultivating their spirit, what you call it, so that they are intentional about their life, intentional about their purpose, what you call this, intentional about their impact, what you call this, on the world, and what you call this, there's definitely been an agenda, to remove our intentionality about it, what you call this, make it seem like, what you call this, it's a toy, it's something that we can play with, what you call this, and on top of that, what you call this, on top of that consequence of it bringing life, what you call this, it is also what I would call a unifying activity. You know what you call this? You know, it brings together the man and the woman. You know what you call this? Such that you know what you call this, they almost become one. I don't know if you guys ever notice. You know what you call this when you're in a relationship. You know, there's something maybe your lover might say. You know what you call this that you never said before. But you know what you call this as you guys continue in the relationship, you find yourself saying that thing more and more, more and more. You know what you call this.
More
You know?
than that, more than that, you know, after years and years of being with the same person, you will look alike.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah,
yes.
Look
that
alike.
before the old people used to say that. Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, you will start to
Okay.
look alike, which is insane, but it
Yeah.
happens.
Yes.
I've seen
It
it
does.
myself.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mhm.
You know. You know.
So,
And,
so with that being said, right,
you know.
that kind of gave me the inclination and kind of like a small download to say that our spirit have become one. Um,
Mhm.
Yes.
Merging
we must have
realities.
known each other through past lives, right? To say,
Yes.
I'm familiar with this person because, you know, when we fall in love at first glance and when we know love is truly love, right, within a relationship, you know what I mean? Not a friendship or being associates, but within a relationship. And we're going to start from there to say, like, oh, when I met you, I looked in your eyes and I knew you before, right? But we just didn't know. Like, I always, like, we feel it in our spirit, if that makes sense to y'all, right? So through that time of getting to know each other, you work through traumas, you go through ups, you go through downs. With if you're in a relationship where you know it's a spiritual connection, y'all begin to bond more spiritually, and y'all begin to meet each other demons. Y'all get to see each other angels. Y'all get to walk with each other through the astral realms. Y'all get to see what the other person is doing on the astral realms if you really tapped in. You know, because just being just being just laying next to someone every night, right? You're gonna develop a form of telepathy because the phones are down, right? You're sitting there sometimes in silence, and our thoughts are really chattery, right? To say the least, or either we're having intentional thoughts when it comes to our relationships. That's a form of telepathy because you land right next to that person and both of y'all tapped into when y'all say y'all is, y'all begin to feel an energy, right? And that's when you get to the point of where people say, y'all look like each other. Yeah, because we're fusing. It's like Dragon Ball Z. You ever seen when they put their two fingers together and they
I
fusion?
remember that.
That's what it really
Yes.
is in a relationship. That's what it is with the twin flame and the divine masculine and feminine. It's creating a balance. And y'all, you know what I mean? And you begin to work through any issues, any problems. One person may come in hypersexual, the other person isn't. So that other person begins to show them other aspects of themselves that helps them release that hypersexuality because they never knew what true love, unconditional love really looked like coming out of the heart chakra, not coming out of him
Mhm. Yeah.
or this. You feel what I'm saying? Or her or this. It's unconditional love through spirit, pure energy flowing through each chakra. And y'all begin to learn new things with each other. Y'all vibrate with each other. Y'all reaching different levels with each other spiritually. You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's why we look like, because we are. We have truly became a reflection.
Mm.
And as long as we are both aware of that as the divine masculine and feminine, then we can move off of our strengths and make them stronger, and we can move off our weaknesses and give them strength.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
You feel me?
Cecilia,
So I feel like that was the download I was getting when they say we look like each other. Yeah, because we've been here before. And now we just fusing into one. That energy is becoming powerful. It's becoming so magnetic. There's nothing that this world can do to break it. There's nothing that this society can do to break it. There's nothing that no amount of hate can do to break this love. This is unconditional love. This is bridging the gap between sexuality and spirituality. Now I love your spirit so much, I just want to take you down and do something to you.
Jesus. Okay.
That's how you bridge the gap.
That's church.
What's your text these things? Lord,
You
give me
feel me?
Sweet as
right.
taboo, like Sade said. That's what that sweetest taboo she was talking about.
Man.
He said everything that I wanted to say. But I mean, that stage of it, that's the real, I guess, bond, true connection. Because most people don't even either make it that far or don't make it through that stage where you get to really know the other person, their flaws and all, and y'all healing through trauma, and y'all learning compassion, y'all learning how to communicate. Like Crandell said, one person may be hypersexual and one person may not be. And it's about a balance, coming in, just by the way of thinking or doing things. And that sensual or sexual energy is creating not just a child, but y'all creating a future with each other. Y'all building a foundation. You're building the foundation to the empire. You start in there, and that's been like someone said in the comments. Crandell said it's been the Black family has been attacked. Let's put it that way. And it's been an agenda to break up, that foundation, that home, and that empire. So, yeah, just expounding on what Crandell said.
Yeah. I think another thing that we could just bring to the awareness of how, because we're talking about the sacred divide and understanding how, for one, understanding the person that you're choosing to exchange that kind of energy with is important, because if you choose the right person, or you choose your divine counterpart, or some high-level soulmate of some sort, that experience is very healing within itself as well.
It is.
So you can create a whole new reality by the way of that of sex, by the way of that sacred energy exchange.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So
give y'all example real quick.
Mhm.
Do y'all want to take it back to Adam and Eve? Then they say they were sisters and brothers. The whole time, spiritually, metaphysically, they were just a reflection.
I don't know.
You feel me?
Brother and sister to the other people, but for us, we know better.
No, we know that.
No.
Physics behind it.
Listen, no.
If you truly think about it,
Shit.
Adam came from her rib, right? That's the 3D. That's the 3D aspect of it, and perception of it. But spiritually, if you dig deep into it metaphysically, you understand. Oh, they were just reflections of each other.
Legit, not brother and sister mess. That's ridiculous. I want to take a slight shift, because we also, in having this conversation about sexuality and spirituality, we also have to acknowledge the challenges and the stigmas behind sexuality as a whole, especially when it comes to societal norms, religious teachings, and stuff like that. We're and making sexuality such a taboo subject that creates kind of barriers in people exploring their sexuality, exploring that, but even within themselves, because we've only talked about it in relation to relationships, right? But even as an individual, understanding your connection between spirituality and your own sexuality is important, right? So let's kind of move into more of the stigmas and the challenges and how we can move past that as individuals, not necessarily as couplings. You know what I mean?
Yes. Wind your waist. Wind your waist.
She said, "One
I'll go after you.
Sit in front of the mirror, butt naked, and squat, and say, "Yeah, for me and Sean."
I mean,
open
no,
the,
but that's
open the womb, your universe.
that's accepting
you got the
your
power there. You got the power.
It's a part of it. It's a
Man.
part of it. Yeah.
Of course, that's true. That's
What you said,
really true. So that's, I think, that's actually really good. What you call it's like, because pretty much what Crandell said, what you call it is, like summarizing what I got from what he said, what you call it is that the first thing that we use to bridge the gap between sexuality and spirituality is love. You know, love. You know what you
Yeah,
call this, and what CC
absolutely.
has pretty much just said. You know what you call this is that it begins with self-love. You know, you want to come into a relationship. You know what you call this with someone who loves you. You know what you call this. You know, but you know what you call this. You need to first start by loving yourself. You know what you call this.
Mm-hmm.
You know what you call this by loving yourself. You know what you call this. You know, it's going to open that space. You know what you call this. You know what you call this for someone who loves you. You know what you call this just as much, if not more. You know what you call this. You know, into your life. You know what you call this. You know, so I definitely agree with that. You know, and actually, you know what you call this. Coming to what I would say. You know what you call this. Is positive. You know what you call this for the males. I think it would be even possible for the females as well. You know what you call this? Practicing celibacy. You know what you call this? You know, practicing celibacy. You know what you call this? You know, it goes back to what we're talking about because the intentionality has been trying to be pulled out about how we do our sexuality, right? But when you practice celibacy, you know what you call it, you are being intentional. You know what you call this? You know, you are saying no in a way. You know what you call this, or really you are saying yes. You know, in terms of giving yourself time. You know what you call it, not jumping into something. You know what you call this. Too early. You know what you call this. Not rushing yourself. You know what you call this. And taking that time. You know what you call this. You know what you call this to look to yourself. You know what you call this. You know what you call this. Explore with yourself. You know what you call this. And what you call this. Cultivate. And take that time. You know what you call it to cultivate that self love. You know what you call this with yourself. You know what you call this. Such that I think what you call this. When you give yourself that love first, you know what you call this. Whenever you come across that person, you know what you call it, who does not love you, you know what you call this. It will be much easier for you to pick up that this is not love. You know what you
Absolutely. And I agree with that because, as I've said before, like, or I usually say, like, to my clients, or even in the last live with Camilla, is that, your self love is your protection. And if you're not giving if you give yourself whatever type of love that you give yourself will determine the quality of the quality of partner that you will attract, or a person or people that you'll attract and accept into your reality. Because like the post I made the other day, we can attract so many different people, places, and things into our reality. But what truly will tell you who you are and what vibration that you're on are those who you accept and allow into your personal reality.
Yeah.
Shay, can
Right.
I speak on
But
that for 1 second?
what was that?
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you.
Oh, no worries. But when we choose to love ourselves, and by the way of, however we do it, doesn't matter. When you love yourself, deeply love yourself, and you explored your shadow, you understand yourself, you studied yourself enough to know your own darkness and your own, self. It's going to be easy for you to identify and spot those same things within other people, because I am as you are, we are one. You feel me? So the more that you understand self, it's much easier to understand the world around you and the people around you. So for instance, if you're not giving yourself a certain level of love, you're going to attract somebody who will mirror that, what you're not giving to yourself, or what you are, you know what I'm saying? So
call
if you're not, you know what I'm saying? So at a certain point, you keep, not even at a certain point, we all got to
You'll
take
be
that.
looking for someone else to give you that love to fill that void.
Exactly.
I should.
Exactly.
I'm
So
sorry, I just got so many downloads. I didn't mean to cut your wisdom, Kai.
no worries. I just think
But
that,
I was just getting so many downloads, and from what Gia was saying, she was talking about singularity when it comes to who you are versus with a person and without a person. So when it comes to in a collective sense, when it comes to masculine, the masculine has to be driven in his purpose. He has to be focalized in a physical right now because
yes.
for one, he has to be the provider, right? For not the not the lower vessel, but for the feminine vessel, so she can begin to nourish herself, right? And the feminine vessel has to come, and she has to be spiritually inclined within her intuition. She has to be driven within her intuition because her intuition is going to give her empathetic, telepathic, and spiritual communication that allows her to continually love herself, and not only love herself, but love nature and love the world around her and cultivate that and nurture that. You feel what I'm saying?
Yep.
So in those singularity type of senses, for me as a man, um, I want to know how to build things. I love loving myself and doing those manly things for myself, right? Some people see it as work, as labor. I see it as me being a man. You feel what I'm saying? I see it as a masculine energy, right? And when you become so focalized within your purpose as a man, the sexuality dissipates. When a woman becomes so deep within her spirituality, as I know all three of you have before, where you're diving deep in these rabbit holes of tarot, where you're diving deep in these rabbit holes of self-consciousness, where you're diving deep in these rabbit holes of frequency, you lose sight of sexuality. And that's where the singularity come in. Both have to be driven within these aspects in order to bridge that gap and to cultivate balance within each other, right? So we can say we love ourselves enough, but the woman has to cultivate some things that she's been through in her life, whether it's and I don't mean no harm to the divine feminine, whether it's molestation, whether it's parental issues, and masculine has to do the same. Where he was constantly getting beat on by his father because his father thought he was being a disciplinary, but he don't see he was beating down on the son. Or where the son lost his mother, so now he has no balance of feminine energy, right? Or when this masculine feels abused by the world, so now he takes to the streets, right? And he really don't know who he is. He's just living day by day. So he has no cultivation. So he doesn't even know how to provide for himself, yet alone divine feminine, right? So that's where the singularity comes in. A man has to be purpose driven. A woman has to be driven off her intuition, her spirituality, and her empathy to cultivate the spirituality within that man to say, you don't have to be a hard laborer anymore. Let me teach you a little bit about your internal. Let me teach you about your talents within yourself that the world hasn't seen yet, and cultivate that feminine energy within you so you don't have to work so more. Let me show you how to provide, because I see the way that you guys as divine feminine that's walking in a purpose within singularity, you know what I mean, make this content creation thing happen. Make certain things that you have to pull from energy. You know what I mean? Y'all don't go work with your hands in warehouses or dig shit out the ground or work with excavators and all that. No, y'all work within y'all feminine energy and spirituality to pull that down from a whole nother realm that a lot of masculine haven't grasped onto yet. So that's why divine feminine is here to cultivate that within the masculine, and the masculine is willing to cultivate the logic within the woman and say, okay, sometimes I know you got these big bright ideas of how you see things, but let me bring it into a business plan. Let me bring it into a logical aspect.
Say it again,
Let me
bro.
let me provide some assistance with my hands. Whether it's something you need around the house or whether I'm going to work and I'm bringing in this bread, it don't matter. We cultivating those parts of each other, and if we see those things like that singularly, then when we come together, it's gonna be
Powerful.
Yeah,
And
but the issue
this,
is when you're saying the issue is, and he's actually 100% right, right? But
yes,
the issue is saying we have a collective of men who don't believe that the women has they've shut out the woman. Just the same way we saw that in history, they removed the woman, right? They removed her out of the place, they displaced her, took her out of, let's always say cross punk, right? Because they don't understand the power and the true power and purpose is not just in children. The true power and purpose is more than that. And so being that listening ear, understanding that she's getting these kinds of information down from
yes,
the ether, from her intuition, from her being connected spiritually, that's just going to give you more ideas for the masculine to
yes.
take and make into. But then when they don't listen, hallelujah, when they
and
don't
then
listen,
what
when
makes
they
it more powerful, right, lady,
amen.
is when Fuka can speak on this. When we doing our thing, we be like, that thing good. That yoni good. I'm getting ready to do my thing. And she said, oh, nope. She pull away from you. She said, you hold that. You hold that. You hold that for the next time. And we don't even recognize it sometimes as a masculine because she giving us strength. Like me holding that is giving me strength. It's making my kundalini rise, right?
Yeah.
So we can even equate that to a sexual sense to say, oh, sometimes I want her to make me wait for that, even though I know I'm gonna be hurting, right? And sometimes we got to be disciplined as masculine and say, let me hold this because I know when I get this off and we both in the same mood, we both on 100%, we both our energy vibrating, we've been vibing the whole day. Wait till I let this off, and I'm gonna let it off with all intention. I'm gonna open up a portal in that mug.
Yeah, but this is why we have to be careful and mindful of who you choose to deal with. Especially when you are at a certain level of awareness with self, you have to be dealing with somebody who's also on that same level of awareness. Because what happens is you're dealing with somebody who doesn't understand these things, why you might pull back when spirit is telling you to pull back, and you guys can both feel. You feel me? Because even as a masculine, like we all have to have these. Like the divine feminine, she embodies the divine feminine aspect of the creator, right? The divine masculine, he's embodiment of but the thing is about it, we all have both energies within us. So the divine masculine should be able to hear from spirit and be led by spirit too. Just as well as the divine feminine should be able to get up and go do whatever she needs to do as well.
I was expound on that too. Because I have both in me. I've learned that from my father.
But this is where true mastery comes in, and where that kundalini energy begins to rise as you learn to balance both masculine and divine feminine energies. This is true awakening, but you have to be careful and mindful of who you deal with, who you're giving that energy to, because you have people who are not aware of this, and therefore will suck on that, or will, harvest that energy that you have, that you're cultivating for themselves, and not even understand it, what they're doing. You know what I'm saying? So we have to understand there's a difference between having a divine connection. All the divine connection is two people who are highly aware of their spirit, their divinity within themselves.
So can I ask y'all this as a divine feminine?
Put themselves in a position to follow to be guided by spirit along their mission, and to dedicate their lives to evolving and enhancing their levels of consciousness to help the collective. You have to be in connections that are going to nourish that mission that you have.
So can I ask y'all a question as a divine feminine?
Sure.
Okay, so I listened to everything you just said, and with that being said, sometimes, we just won't, like Fuka was saying, that moment of celibacy where we're not doing nothing. Why is it a big trauma now that I see on a divine feminine that says, oh, if you're not touching on me or loving on me, or you know what I mean, doing the thing with me, then you're not attracted to me?
Well, I'm gonna say this, is that
you feel what I'm saying? I hope that made sense.
No, it does. You feel me? But that's still in our, that's all in all, it's wounded energy.
Yeah.
Whether you know what I'm saying? It's wounded energy to have that perspective to a degree. If I'm looking at it from a conscious state of being, in highlight, if we're talking about Christ consciousness, we shouldn't look at things like that. But at the end of the day, we are human. We are in this vessel, and we do need physical touch. We do need that.
Right.
So if you're in a connection and you're feeling and your person or your divine feminine is feeling that way, then you need to honor that, because she deserves that.
Right.
Just like in the divine masculine too. So it's just all we got to do is give it.
Yeah.
You feel me? And then if you feel like spirit is leading you not to be able, spirit is saying okay, well, we can't get intimate right now because of this, and then express that. Right. But we need to have. Go ahead.
Hi, there's a difference though, because we have to make this very known, because there's been an overuse of certain things, and in us saying spirit, or we're feeling spiritually led not to engage in certain things, is very different than what we see on TV, where it's just they have to pretty much beg. Babe, can we? Babe, no, I'm tired. That's
no, absolutely.
Because there's a lot of people who are out here starving the divine masculine, and then you wonder why things ain't working out. You can't do it.
But that's why. But this is why I'm saying to have a conversation. Because this is why I said to have the conversation. Communication is key. If you feel like spirit is saying hey, I can't do this right now, then you need to be able to explain why.
That's
Mm.
true. That's
So you need to be able to present like, hey, because I mean, if you're in that kind of connection and you guys are both spiritual on a spiritual path and both understand receiving messages from spirit and following spirit's guidance, then you should be able to sit down and communicate that with your partner rather than leaving them in the dark. You can't do that,
And that was an
or
excellent
you
way to break
shouldn't.
that down.
You can, but I would say you should, and you should express yourself. That's a blockage in the throat chakra if you're not expressing, what you're receiving from, because if you're in a divine union, you're in a divine union, and a part of that divine union is sexuality. And if you're going to hold back your sexual urges in any way, shape, or form, you should be communicating why.
why.
Ah, shit.
It should be known why.
Because, and the only reason I asked that question is because, I see both parties moving out of their trauma a lot of days. You know what I mean? A lot these days we are moving out of our traumas, and I can say that I moved out of my trauma before from having a lack of motherhood, from losing my mother when I was a child, always looking for my mother inside a woman. You know what I mean? Or this one little girl who been molested, so she end up promiscuous, thinking that she'll never be nothing. You feel what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
So that's the reason why I asked that question, because it's like, you know, society put these stigmatisms and these stereotypes on us that we know deep inside we truly don't have, but somehow we constantly always moving off of them.
And
So
that's
it was just
that's the
good to hear
beautiful
the real perspective.
that's the beautiful thing about having divine connections, though, because in divine connections, there's a healing process that you guys both go through together. And as you learn to truly love your divine partner and yourself, you help them heal those wounds too, of feeling inadequate or feeling not enough. Because if you notice, if you have somebody who truly loves you and who's truly there for you and like supports you, it makes you look at yourself differently. It makes you fall in love with yourself more,
yeah,
right?
that's true.
So we have to be like, we have to understand like our position where we're getting, like, you shouldn't look at a relationship to get in a relationship just to be in uh in the presence of another being, but looking at it as an initiation to deeper understandings of self, as well as learn, open yourself up to love yourself and other people on a deeper level,
Yeah,
spiritually and whatever. But in those in divine connections, it's a healing process. It's ascension. It's initiation. It's not simply just being in a person's presence, filling up on each other. You literally have the power in your hand to help somebody evolve in many different ways.
facts, major facts. Now, going into, we know that shame, guilt, and fear of judgment can prevent individuals from fully exploring and expressing their sexual desires and identities within the spiritual community. I say that because there's a lot of people, we're talking about trauma, we're talking about woundedness and needing healing and all that other stuff. There's a lot of people who are explore alternative, I'm going to call it alternative. I don't know if I can say it, the actual term. Anyway, alternative things because they're working through trauma, like AKA BDSM. That is a massive thing that they're working through trauma. But there is a shame and a guilt and judgment in that space. What are your thoughts in regards to that? Is that right? Is that fair to have that shame, that judgment, because while they're they're going via that avenue?
Okay. What you call this? Can I start? Okay, let me begin.
Or
Um, 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 what you call this? So, like, one thing about sexuality, what you call this, or what you call this, your sexual life, what you call this, is it's a private thing, what you call this, it's a private thing, what you call this, for you, what you call this, and your lover, what you call this, to explore behind closed doors, what you call this, what I see, what you call this, what you call this lately, and also, with the trivializing, what you call this, of sex and sexuality, what you call this, is that, what you call this, it's a lot of us, what you call this, want to make it like a public thing, what you call this, and anything public, what you call this, is always going to be what you call this
subject to
I guess
ridicule?
exposed to scrutiny, what you call this, exposed to scrutiny, what you call this, it's just the way things are, what you call this, That's the reason why, what you call this, there's an African proverb that says, what you call it, that private matters are not discussed in the public square. Certain things, what you call this, you keep in private, what you call it, you explore in private, what you call this, because it's yours, it's intimate, what you call this, it's not for public consumption, what you call this, and what you call this, while I understand, what you call this, that the shame is not helpful, what you call this. You can reduce or remove that shame, what you call this, by making sure that you keep what should be private, private, what you call this, not put it out into the public eye where it is subject to scrutiny, what you call this. Yeah, that's what I
Um,
would say.
I just want to challenge that real quick, just playing devil's advocate, right?
Yeah, go on, go
A
on,
lot
go
of
on.
what we do, right? Kai, Gia, Cecilia, you, Crandall, a lot of what we do is take what we've gone through, what we've experienced, and share it for the hopes of helping others. What you're saying is that, and this is where we throw sexuality in a box, in a corner somewhere, and it's taboo, we can't share, we can't talk, we can't whatever. It's not helpful to to the persons coming behind you who have experienced stuff, who have gone through stuff, and is looking for someone who they can identify with. One of the issues that we had growing up is that there was very few people we can watch on TV or in any media space that looked like us who we can identify with. The few that were who? The rappers,
Mm-hmm,
the people who are not good
mm-hmm,
influence. So now, if I
mm-hmm.
am someone, and this is not me, but I'm just saying, I'm trying to put myself in this because I know a spiritual person who does practice this thing, and she's been very open about it, and I've seen it be very healing to her, those in her community. To say that is it's very old school in thinking, and I think it's very limited, and it says more about the people who view that than the people who are going through that space, because you cannot just sit there and be like, in the closet you go, don't talk about it because it's so, whatever, because you can be helpful in
Yeah, I
sharing
think
it.
Yes.
You can help others.
you, can I respond to that? Because
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think
Go on, Kai. Go on, Kai.
I think that which I agree with you're saying, and I see the point in which what you're making. But I think that because I agree with both sides, because this is what I feel. I feel like before you should bring something to the public, you have to first transmute the energy on your own. You have to first come to terms with that energy or that experience or that habit of yours on your own. You have to get comfortable with that, accept that this is what it is for you on your own before you can step out and put that in the public.
If
Because if
that's
you
calling.
out prematurely, then that could actually be more damaging for you than helpful.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
I
I agree.
totally agree. I
Yeah.
totally agree. I totally agree. Yes, that time where you take, what you call this, to work with it personally, what you call this, it will, what you call this, you gain an assurity, you're sort of a confidence, what you call this, you know what you're doing, you've gotten some experience, what you call this on your own, such that now when you're out in the public, what you call this, because there's always going to be haters, what you call this, funny comments, what you call this, and it's something that happens, what you call this. I experience it all the time, criticism, what you call this, So that time taken alone, what you call this, in that private space, what you call this, growing that confidence, what you call this, knowing yourself, what you call this, it will prepare you such that, these funny comments, what you call this, from the haters, and what you call this, the criticisms, what you call this, don't get to the point where what you call this, it affects you, what you call this, and allows you, what it gets you to the point where you now start to internalize the shame, what you call this, because
Yeah.
what, yes, others can shame you, what you call this, but you can shame yourself just as much, what you, and when
That,
you shame yourself, it's even worse, what you call this, what you call this, because of the proximity, what you call this, with yourself. You're always with yourself, what you call this, and what you are cultivating again, what you call this. So now it's a case of you are going against all that work of self-love that you were doing with yourself, what you call this. And now you are what you call this, playing that part, in helping to destroy yourself. So I definitely agree with what Kai says, what you call this, take that time, alone, what you call this, let make it public intentional, what you call this, when you are ready.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think another
Can I
thing
chime in on that real quick?
Yeah, and then just before just like just to put it out there, some not everybody has to go through it by themselves. For me, I did, but if you have somebody that is like that you can trust with those types of gems that you have, because then obviously whatever. But the moral of it is that you got to learn to transmute that energy by yourself, and this is why a lot of people experience mental confusion and psychosis and all of these things because they haven't yet learned to ground themselves within their own energies. You know what I'm saying? And so this goes for every aspect, your shadow and your light. You have to learn to integrate all your experiences in order for you to properly lead those who are looking for that guidance.
And in this world, man, listen, ain't no shame in none of the game. I don't hold no judgments because I can't say I walk in spirituality and hold judgments and be talking about what the next person doing or why they doing this or why they living like that. I ain't got time for that because if I'm so busy focusing on them, I ain't focusing on what's truly going on in my house. You feel what I'm saying? I'm over here at the neighbor's house and my house burning down. What you talking about? You understand? So I don't hold no judgment in my heart, but I don't hold no fear about anything anybody got to say about me because at the end of the day, the real ones that's around me, they know what's up. I ain't gotta, speak on certain things. You ain't gotta put things in the private. You ain't gotta put things in the public. I specifically know what it is, and at the end of the day, whether it's something that's positive or negative, I take it all as it is. If you live for the hoorahs, then you're going to die by the booze. And I promise you that. You know what I mean? Every single time. You feel me? So at the end of the day, I have begun to put myself in a spiritual sense to be like, I hold no judgment, not against myself for my insecurities or what I felt like I did wrong or the person that I'm with. Or what I felt like they did wrong, or if they pass me, come back to haunt them. No, it's me and my divine feminine through all this. I don't care what nobody's saying. I'm rocking with her. You hear me? You can say whatever you want. I'm rocking with her. She rocking with me. And if it ain't that,
Yeah.
That's unconditional love when you live free without judgment. So I can't worry about what the next person doing. I can only worry about my house. As long as my house ain't burning down, hey.
There's always a person doing the most judging and attend to their own house.
Yep. So you guys, I want to take a quick break to go to our sponsorships real quick. We'll be right back, you guys. You move it.
That's it.
If you've finally reached a place in your journey to where you are just over feeling not enough, you're tired of feeling trapped in a box that you've been put in, and just fed up with feeling disconnected from your higher self, please join me May 17th in my internally transformative, perspective expanding self-empowerment masterclass. This class isn't just about information, but transformation. Imagine feeling empowered and in control of your life and internal reality, more confident, self-assured, as well as finally having that deep sense of peace at all times, knowing that you are always just enough and your power is always within you. This 3D class is designed to give you a practical and easily understandable understanding on how you can overcome and rise above fear, lack mentality, insecurities, inner child wounds, and traumas so that you can reclaim your divinity and remember who you are in divine confidence. To lock in your seat in my Empower Me Masterclass, please visit www.sacredmelanatedalchemy.com and use discount code Kozmic Konnectionz at checkout to get 10% off.
Hey everyone, this is Gia and I've got an amazing deal for you. This is a chakra guide that you need to have. This chakra guide will help you understand, identify, and unblock each of your chakras. You'll learn about each one, its functions, what exactly the chakras do, and this will help you really be in tune with your body and how it corresponds with each of your body parts, internal organs, and all of that. You'll be able to keep a log of your chakra clearings and really understand how to unblock these chakras. If you don't know how to stand and clear out your chakras, this guide will give you a step-by-step instruction. So don't worry, I got you covered. This chakra guide is available now for download, and you can use the discount code Cosmic Konnectionz for 10% off. Get your copy now.
How you doing, my beautiful brothers and sisters? If you're looking for an all-natural brand, Ancestor Hands is that brand for you. I invented this brand to give people like me a great product at a lesser price and made sure I kept all the harmful chemicals out of my products. Ancestor Hands is more than a brand, it's a movement. So leave those chemical brands alone and come home to Ancestor Hands.
Ancestors Hands specializes in natural skin care products. Make sure you guys go visit www.ancestorshands.net. I promise you guys you will not be disappointed. I can say that firsthand as I have tried his products and they are superb. So tap in.
Yo, 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 what's good, family? This your boy C, and here at Eyes Open Clothing, our mission is to leave every single customer with a smile. We aren't just your regular fashion company. We thrive on targeting our soul tribe, attracting positivity, abundance, good health, and new connections, and looking.
Y'all see the drip? Okay, you know how I had to call myself one. To my listeners, you guys can go visit www.eyeopenclothing.com to purchase your fit today. And last but not least, make sure you guys visit www.cosmickonnectionz.com if you guys are interested in having your business featured on one of our episodes. Check out our website to view our sponsorship packages.
Okay, just wanted to let you guys know I got me Eyes Open Clothing. Go get yours.
Hey.
Go get
The link will
yours.
be in the bio.
Yes, it's in the description as well as the comments for all of the sponsorship information and the discount codes. Don't miss out. Do not miss out. Okay, so taking a shift, right? So I wanted to look into the connection, the intertwining of spirituality and sexuality in history. And I'm going to just go specifically to, actually, I want to read this off if you guys don't mind.
Go on.
The intertwining of spirituality and sexuality has a rich and diverse history across cultures, often reflecting the values, beliefs, and practices of different societies. Here's a brief exploration of how these concepts can be perceived and intertwined throughout history. So the first one is ancient civilizations. And mind you, I'm not saying this is all the way accurate, so I didn't write it. Just keep that in mind. Ancient civilizations. In many ancient cultures, such as Mesopotamia, Egypt, Greece, and Rome, spirituality and sexuality were closely linked. Rituals and ceremonies often involve elements of sensuality and fertility, with sexuality viewed as a sacred and natural expression of human life. Deities associated with love, fertility, and procreation, hallelujah, were worshipped through rituals that include sexual acts as a form of divine union and renewal. Number two, indigenous traditions. Indigenous cultures around the world have long recognized the spiritual significance of sexuality, often viewing it as a sacred gift from the divine. Practices such as tantric yoga in Hinduism, sacred sexuality among Native American tribes, and I can never say this word, shamanic, right? Rituals in various indigenous traditions emphasize the spiritual dimension of sexual energy and its role in healing and connecting with the divine. Eastern philosophies is number three. Eastern philosophies such as Hinduism, Buddhism, and Taoism often offer profound insights into the relationships between spirituality and sexuality. In Hinduism, the concept of kama, desire, is one of the four goals of life, alongside Irma. It has a D in front of it, so it's confusing. Anyway,
Dharma.
with duty, Dharma, okay, Dharma, duty, and Artha, prosperity, and moksha, listen, forgive me, liberation. The Kama Sutra in ancient Indian text explores the art of lovemaking as a spiritual practice. Taoism teachings emphasize the cultivation of sexual energy, qi, through practices like Taoist sexual yoga, aiming to harmonize the body, mind, and spirit, which I find very, very interesting because it's not really centered around, um, relationships. It's more of an individual kind of thing, which I think is really, really interesting. Now, this next one, I probably should have had one of y'all read this. Monotheistic religions. I don't know what that means. Okay. within
It's one of the easiest. Yeah.
within certain religions such as Christianity, Judaism, and Islam, attributes towards sexuality have often become more restrictive due to moral codes and religious doctrines. However, even within these traditions, there are examples of mystics and spiritual practitioners who have explored the spiritual dimensions of sexuality, such as the Christian mystics known as the Begumi and the, I don't know what this is, Sufi poets of Islam. I'm just reading what it says. And then
Okay.
the last, maybe you can further explain that, Fuka, because I'm lost on that one. The last one is the modern perspectives. In the modern era, there has been a resurgence of interest in integrating spirituality and sexuality, fueled by new movements such as the sexual revolution, New Age spirituality, and the rise of alternative healing modalities. Practices like Tantra, mindfulness, and conscious sexuality have gained popularity as ways to explore the spiritual aspects of sexuality and cultivating deeper intimacy and connection. Throughout history and across cultures, the intertwining of spirituality and sexuality reflects humanity's quest for meaning, connection, and transcendence. While attributes and practices may vary, the underlying recognition of the sacredness of sexuality and its potential for spiritual growth remains a common thread through across diverse traditions. I thought this was interesting to read off because it shows that this has been like a thing for a while, the sacredness between the two, and though we may have gone astray a little bit, may have gone astray a little bit, but this has been the core. There's always been this sacredness between the two. And I think it's very important that we understand that this has always been the case.
Shaq, I think we just got to get back, to the point where when it involves sexuality, right, and spirituality, we make things so complex now because we want the world to see how complex we are, right? So when I go back and look at my granddad and my grandma, my aunts and my uncles, right, and to see the way that he used to touch her, the way they used to listen to music and dance, the way that they used to, do certain things, they were spiritual without them even knowing because things were so simple, right? But when we make these things so complex now, we don't get back to the simplicity of energy and how it just flows. We don't go back to that flow state because we always got to make complexities of emotion and logic that we're blending in with the sexuality now, which is confusing us spiritually as well because we can't really see what's in front of us. We only see what's in our thoughts. You feel what I'm saying? And we, as masculine, to all the masculine out there, we got to get back to when we hug our women, see what certain spots tickle her. See what certain spots make her feel good, make her feel happy. Learn to tap into her energy where you know her body and her energy, right? And bring back that old school tantric, back into the modern day, and kind of cultivate those two because the era that you're living in, but you still, for me, my perception of it is the cultivation of spirituality and sexuality has always been with the old school. So, even the generation now, from my age on down, we still play R. Kelly when we getting ready to do that thing. We still playing old school Teddy Pendergrass. We still playing old school Marvin Gaye. you know, because they felt from their spirit. They didn't make the world complex. They didn't make spirituality complex. They sing through their spirit. They had certain frequencies that turned women on. They know how to touch a woman to make her vibrate to the level that they want her to, or vice versa with women like Patti LaBelle or other
Or the
different singers
808.
like Tina Turner. She made a man want to get up and be hyped for her. You know what I mean? And cultivated that sexuality, but kept that
And
classiness.
building it up, you know, and building it up because we're so caught up in the animalistic nature of it that we just dive in, and you don't even get a chance to even feel the essence of that energy.
Yes.
This is why tantric was such, you know, is important even now, because you get time to be conscious of the sensations in your body, your mental state, the consciousness behind it, being intentional when you choose to enter into the womb, the portal. You know what I'm saying? Because it's a portal, right? What are we having this exchange for? Is it for healing? Is it for creating life? Is it for manifestation? What, like, getting back to the intentionality of it as well,
Exactly.
other than just, oh, I just want to get it off. You know what I'm saying? That's a waste. And even in biblical times, when you would when a man would waste himself on the floor, like, he would get struck down and killed. It was a disgrace.
Yeah.
So we should be taking, like, you know, honoring our energy and being more intentional with our energy, slowing it down, so that we can actually build that energy, that sexual energy up. Because the more energy that you start feeling in those moments, the more powerful that it is.
Just to piggyback off of that, just like I think in doing more research in regards to the connection between spirituality and sexuality, I think there's I don't know if it's something that can be done every single time necessarily, because anyway, but I think sometimes it's good to have like a quick, what are we doing this for kind of thing. If it's just to connect, that's okay. Like, I just want to connect with you. And having that same, both people having that intention. I don't know if you're going to have a conversation every single. Sometimes you ain't got no time.
Depends on the life you live, because, you know.
Be like, what? Why do you want to do this right now? And we can, like, you know, talk and not talk, but like just agree. That would be amazing. Yes. I think that's amazing.
But I think that, you know what, I feel like if we do those kinds of things and we realize what the energy behind it and we do it right, I think that the less we'll want to be in the like the animalistic or impulsive nature of sex. You feel me? Because it's so much more than that. We have to treat it as something sacred, other than as something that could just be like hopped in and hopped out of.
Yeah. Can I be a divine masculine real quick?
Oh Lord.
Can I say that? Okay, from both perspectives, I understand, because, you know, sometimes it's sensual and, you know, you're doing your thing, but sometimes I like to be an animal, but I still like to talk and be like, what we manifesting? Come on. Let me get you there. What we manifesting? Oh shit! We got a man coming.
Nothing wrong with it.
And next thing you know.
No,
ain't I right, sick? But
it they didn't even hear you.
But ain't that the truth though?
Lord have mercy. Ain't nothing wrong.
Which is it's understood. You know what I'm saying? I don't think that it's gonna be like that every single time. Like, you know, it
no,
might
not every single time, but I'm just saying,
even,
you know, having that awareness.
Yeah, it's about that
awareness. You know?
What you think, Uga? What you think about that?
All the time, because I'm not. But I'm just saying, you know, I'm not going to be doing tantric all the time. I'm just saying, but I'm just saying that I think that we just have to be more intentional.
It's definitely balanced.
Yeah, balance.
Yeah.
But sometimes, you know, I like 40 Shades of Black.
Yeah, you know, hop up on the and that's okay.
Get the gray, we going black.
Ain't nothing wrong with it.
Look back at me.
But I think that at least like once a month, you know, you would make it a ritual type thing, to where because you also will connect deeper with your partner in that way as well. You know what I'm saying? So like maybe like once a month, like your monthly ritual.
I've always been sensual type. Like get the oils. Like I've been in the massage
Yeah.
before. Get the oils, warm it up. Not too hot.
Yeah, right.
Put some Anita Baker on.
Yo, that's right. But that in itself is also a tantric. When you're slowing
it is candlelight.
It's not just simply. You know what I'm saying? Like there's so many ways that you can like tap into that energy.
Sitting across from each other and doing breath work, breathing in as we exhale, and vice versa, and looking.
And then also speaking affirmations into each other, like
and that's why I love the divine masculine and feminine.
Right.
At some point we are animalistic in nature. At some point you guys are more sensual and spiritual in nature. So we cultivate each other.
You combine the two.
You might start off.
Might start off that way, and then next thing you know,
it goes from Teddy Pendergrass to Luther to what's another one? Some rap artists come on and some Luke come on and shit.
Oh Lord!
Like what? The music be flow with the energy, so
Yeah, no, man, you gotta flow.
My playlist is all over the place. I got a little bit of everything in it, so.
Yeah, you do. No, for real. Like I ain't gonna act up here. Like I'm not a saint, but I'm just saying. Like what I'm saying. Like it's important to at least create space to where we do have intentions.
Yes, a lot of people miss that key.
Right.
Intention.
Yeah.
They just doing stuff to be doing it because it looks good and it makes you feel good. But if y'all don't have the right intentions, or it's a misalignment, then you're gonna create something outside of just the baby. You're gonna create something in your life that you don't want.
And that's another thing. That's another thing that we can just even having kids outside of just
you're creating, right?
And not only that, y'all both
is also carrying the energy of the two people that are exchanging that energy.
Yeah.
So you wonder why sometimes our kids are crazy.
For real. Like if both people not aware,
telepathy really nice.
Who's your partner? No, I'm kidding. But
I'll take a word.
That's draining. You know what I mean? Both of y'all drained out afterwards. That's not how it's supposed to be. But in society, that's how they paint it. After sex, both people supposed to be drained and go to sleep. No, it ain't. I'm supposed to be hyped. I'm like, you know what? I'm about to go work.
No, you should feel at peace.
I'm about to go. You know what I mean? That's what the real sexual energy feel like. It gives you motivation. It hypes you up. It ain't supposed to put you to bed and drain you. Like when
and that's how you know. And that's a sign to let you know that you're like, because this is the thing. As you deal with different people and you're aware of yourself and you have that time in between to where you're not just humping on everything, you'll start to realize how different people's energy affects you. You know what I'm saying? And so it just, you gotta the only way for you to really know how you gotta how that energy really affects you is to be celibate. And then, and even in celibacy, you're gonna not want to give yourself you're not gonna just want to hop right in, but just we take on the energy, we're sharing energy. So if you don't like the person's energy, you don't know about their past and what they deal with, what they do on a daily basis, you don't know their mentality and things like that, that's a dangerous game.
Facts.
I did that multiple times. Well, my adulthood, going celibate. I did right before, I did it for about a good long time. Right before I made Fred I just took a break. I'm like, I don't want no parts of nothing.
No, and you start to you'll realize, and I'm saying this because of my last, when I was with my children's father, but you'll realize that at the end of the day, it's they'll drain you.
If you let them, they come to you just to get that energy. It's like,
somebody in the comments said one's age will play a part in all that though, which I get, right? Because after a while the body does start to move differently, begin to act differently, but at the same time, you see people in their late 40s, early 50s, 60s, still looking like they're young. It depends on how you take care of yourself.
Baby, 40s when life is just beginning. You start to...
Right. It's a part of the masculine and feminine energy within yourself, right? Because you're not going to feel that way. And if somebody brings, if you have a younger person or older person, but they still bringing that same energy, it's gonna, you know what I mean? It's gonna elevate you even more. So I can't say it does play a part bodily wise, but spiritually wise, it does not play a part.
No, yeah, and that's what we're talking about spiritually. You know, it's spiritually, I don't care what your age is, because it doesn't equate to your age spirit or spiritually. You can
Right.
sit here and be 2 years old and have a soul of a 1,000-year-old master.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And then you can be 40 years old now,
And like a fine
this is
girl.
your first lifetime.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it doesn't matter because that doesn't matter. But what the fact of the matter is that who you should, like, you got to really know the person you decide to give yourself to, because you're going to take on that energy, both men and women. It works on women because we're on the receiving end. So you'll feel your energy being taken from you. You'll feel more irritated, more like upset. You'll, like, those things will be signs and symptoms that, you know, like you're dealing with somebody who, and then you go find out how the other person's doing. They're jolly as hell. And you're like, dang, you just ran over, like,
Right.
with my energy.
Again.
Right.
It's natural. For the women, it's so much worse. We'll sit there and be drained out our behind, and they all.
Like, you just have, but that's
I've experienced it.
You have women who, you have men and women who are actually healers in the sexual area.
Yeah.
Who are sexual healers. So you know what I'm saying? Like, so
Yeah.
That's
some people's purpose.
No, I'm not saying for you guys to go out there and be a prostitute and claim to do it to work. But I'm just saying,
like, some people out there claiming to do that too, and be doing the Lord's work.
No.
But it's just like, you just gotta be careful.
No,
you gotta be careful. Yeah.
Yeah. Talking about this is ministry. No, it ain't. That's not ministry.
You don't know who you're dealing with out here. There's a lot of soul ties, energy, fire, and you know, all of that good stuff. And not only that, right? How you know the person you ain't dealing with got a curse on them through generational curse or through a hex from somebody, and now your energy is intertwined with them. So you basically picked up on their curse until you figure out, like, what the fuck is my life so fucked up after this?
Cord cutting, cord cut them up.
Man, get the cord cut. So
no, but that's true. That is so true. You got, I'm telling you, people be like, this is why like, for me personally, I'll never get into like the whole. I mean, I do, like, your body, your choice. Do whatever the fuck you want. But at the end of the day, like, like, you know what I'm saying? Because there's a lot of, you know, practitioners out there that promote being sexually active with whomever you please, and that it won't like, it's just the lack of awareness is dangerous, because you can't be out here messing with Dick, Tom, and Harry and thinking that your energy is not going to be affected, yet you can, like, it's crazy to me. Don't sit here and meditate all day and then go deal with somebody whose mentality is screwed up.
They said they had preparation for their job.
Facts. And that's even when it comes down to people that, like, people within the community that want to be so
I'm not judging.
Polygamous. You feel what I'm saying? And you ain't even
like,
finished evolving, but you want to be a polygamist. Come on now.
Yeah.
You can't even provide a lifestyle for all of these feminine, not only financially or physically, but spiritually either. But you want to be so polygamous. You so spirit, you want to be so polygamous, right? You're not cultivating none of this feminine energy around you how you're supposed to be. You a jack of all trades, a master of none. You have not mastered each one of these women to even be polygamous. You haven't even mastered yourself fully. So how do you want to be polygamous? That's me personally. As a masculine, I can't be polygamous because I love nurturing one. That's my love language. I love nurturing the affection of one woman. That's just me. I love monogamy. You know what I mean? And my patience not that thick to be dealing with all these energies of this woman passed and that woman passed. I gotta deal with her past. I gotta deal with her family. I gotta deal with all the other niggas that she was out here doing if she ain't clean herself properly spiritually before she got to me. Like, fellas don't be thinking, but you want to be a polygamist though.
She ain't clean
Make
her
it make sense, fellas. Like, for real. That's me being the real masculine that I am.
Oh man.
Each his own out there, y'all. Man.
You feel me though? Am I right? Am I right or am I wrong?
It's hard out here in the street. If you collect the government assistance and you in a polygamous relationship,
right? Y'all not gonna be playing women like this in the comments, Lucia.
Hey,
You ain't gonna be playing women like this.
Exactly.
But no, you guys in the comments, if you have questions, please put them in the comments. Or if you want to hop on with us for the last of this segment, please do so. If you check the pinned comment, if you should see the link to the StreamYard, I'm actually going to repost it now, actually, for you guys.
A question that I like. How do you clean yourself of that shit? Soul ties. So the way to clean yourself, right, is to get you a good practitioner that works with herbals. You can work on doing spiritual cleansing baths. You can get with Cecilia. She got amazing cord cutting soap. I mean, that thing cut the whole silver lining off of that thing. Whatever's connected to you, she gonna cut the cord straight up off of that for you. You know what I mean? And not only relying on practitioners, but relying within your own spiritual capabilities. Because if you don't clean yourself up of it, your subconscious will begin to show you through dreams. Your subconscious will begin to show you through certain circumstances in reality that you need to cut this off. Every time this person come around, they got a problem for a solution. Ever since this person been in my life, nothing but bad things have been happening to me. Ever since this person has been in my life, I have seen nothing but a downward spiral of finances. Even though life happens and things go up and down, when you're inviting new energies, of course things go up and down. But if it's a full downward spiral where it's been like 6 months and you like, why ain't nobody fucking with my business? Why ain't nobody like, why am I losing money? Why I keep losing this? Why I keep losing that? Then that's when you need to cleanse yourself.
And the worst thing that you can do is this is why it's so important to be mindful of who you decide to have sex with, because people can thrive off the energy, off of your energy alone.
Yeah.
Exactly.
A piece of your essence,
and
you're all of a sudden your life started going down, like you said. You know what I'm saying? And it doesn't matter what you're doing, like if your life's going left, you gotta understand that you need to cut cords.
Snatch that shit.
But also it should be like, you know what I'm saying? But we just gotta remember that people just like, that's how sacred our energy is, man. Like people being in your presence alone can walk away and get a blessing because your energy is that divine. You know what I'm saying? You can't be out here considering yourself, and even if you're like a divine being, giving yourself to anyone and everyone.
Facts. And now they stuck to you like flies on shit, and you can't get them away because they fucked up as they fucked up as demons kind of latching on to you. You don't know it because you want to see the best in a person, right? Because you've been through traumas and you've been through things, and you have an understanding of how the world works. So you try to be that for that person. The whole time you just a bad motherfucker and you need to get the fuck away from me. But we don't look at it because that's the point of soul ties and also twin flames, is to show you a piece of yourself, whether it's a good karmic or a bad karmic. Yeah. So like you said, Kyle, we definitely gotta be aware now, especially those who are in higher frequency, we definitely gotta be aware.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Whether you're aware of it or not, having sex with somebody is going to affect you spiritually, period. So it doesn't matter whether you're aware of it or not. So, you just pay attention to the signs and synchronicities after you deal with that person. Is your life being enhanced? You feel, even, you know what I'm saying? Like, that can go a different way because, you could be feeling it like enhanced and the other person is draining. But, it's just like, you got to be careful, period. Because you decide to get into it spiritually.
But one thing I can say about the divine feminine, right? Even through those soul ties, y'all spiritual essence and y'all intuitive energy, like a masculine who's even working through his trauma is going to know when that true divine feminine is there, because she's going to change everything for him. She's going to change everything. She's going to shake the fucking game up and shake the world up. His whole world is going to change. And that's when you got a soul tie that's not karmic, but also the universe is teaching you to work through your karma. work through your bullshit, divine masculine or feminine. You know what I mean? Whichever way you want to play it. You know, so you really got to be aware of whether it's yourself or whether, you know what I mean, it's the other person. And that's what
Right.
comes with, you know, the singularity of the divine feminine and masculine, but also cultivating that, bringing it back into balance.
Yeah.
So I have a question actually for you guys,
Hold on, Kai.
or it's for like.
Kai. Puka's been trying to say something. All y'all been cutting him off the whole time. So I'm just letting.
Okay, sorry, I didn't hear.
Oh, my apologies.
No worries, no worries. You know what you call this? You know, going back to the intentionality and being careful about who you pick. You know what you call this? You know, I want to raise awareness. You know what you call this? You know, around sexuality. You know what you call this? You know what you call this? You know, there are those who, what you call this? Who have this mentality, you know what you call this, you know, they look at their private parts, you know what you call this, as either a weapon, you know what you call this, or something, you know what you call this, to pay for stuff with, you know what you call this, you know. So, you know what you call this, you know what you call this, as a person, like you, Kai said, you know what you call it, sex, you know, it has consequences. You will tie yourself, you know, to that person, you know what you call this, you know. So you know what you call this, as a person, as a spiritual person, you know what you call it, someone who is intentional about their sexuality, you know what you call this, you know, or somebody who loves themselves and wants to be intentional about their sexuality. You have to be wary that there are those out there who look at, who have the perspective that, you know what you call this, their private parts, you know what you call this, are either a weapon, you know what you call this, you know, or something to you know what you call this, to pay for stuff with. You know, I want to ask you guys, you know what you call this, you know, what do you think, you know what you call this, you know, of this mentality, you know what you call this, of thinking of, you know, your sexuality as a weapon, you know what you call this, or something to, you know, pay for stuff with?
It's degrading.
Mm-hmm.
There's only the only thing that you're gonna get out of that is, you know, loss. You're only gonna gain loss out of that, and I think that it comes with a certain level of, you know, I mean, obviously we talked about it. Self-love is the foundation of all things, really.
Mm-hmm.
And when you love yourself, your whole external reality. And I'm not talking about, you know what I'm saying, like truly taking care of your mind, your body, your spirit, you know, self-love.
Right.
You have to do yourself. That's the foundation. And when you choose to sell your stuff, you know, what do you expect an individual to feel like after a certain amount when you know what I'm saying, like after a certain time, like you can't evolve in that mentality. It only will keep you stuck, and it'll
The
keep
lower
you
chakras.
in your, yeah, it'll keep you operating in that lower chakra, especially as women. It'll keep you operating in your masculine energy too. You know what I'm saying? Because at that point you
And that's the purpose. Like that's what I was speaking on, you know, at the beginning of the live. They want to use women as the weapon against the divine masculine right now, you know, and they want the divine masculine to dumb themselves down to the spiritual aspects and just fight. Why you think all these wars going on? Why you think all these masculine dissing each other and this, that, and the third, right? Because we're not getting back to the feminine aspects of ourselves. They want the masculine to be against each other, and they want the feminine to be against the masculine. Why you think all the divine? There's a lot of divine feminine that's coming together. You know what I mean? But within the industry, right? You see a lot of the hypersexualized females beefing with each other because that's what they want. They want that disconnection between all of us. You know what I mean? And we sit on social media all day and we look at this and we think it's funny about this girl beefing with that girl and what she said on Twitter, or this against this dude and this and that blah blah. You know what I mean? It's the disconnection is why, you know what I mean? And that's why they're weaponizing the yoni with, you know, every other post you see on Instagram is somebody shaking their ass. You know what I mean? Excuse my language, excuse my French. But it's a raw conversation and it's the truth. Or you see all these girls on OnlyFans exposing themselves, or they exposing themselves on their stories and all of this, that, and the third because they're using the divine feminine to weaponize against the divine masculine, not for us. They want to keep us in our
Yeah,
lower
those
chakra.
kind of
They
women
don't
will
want us to wake up the divine feminine. It's a vice versa. They're destroying the balance within both. And when we wake up
yeah.
and recognize that and stop being in gender wars against each other on these dumbass podcasts, that's going against, oh, this man this, oh, this
I've
woman
heard
that.
some stupid
You
shit.
you feel what I'm saying?
Right.
Then
Yeah,
we'll
and
be a lot better off.
absolutely. I think, and then just being in that energy is for one, you sold yourself. There's different ways to
That's
sell
a
yourself.
soul, right? Selling your soul. Yeah.
And you wonder why you feel disconnected from self enough, or you're desensitized to the point to where you don't even feel anything when you don't even feel the energy. It's just like almost like dead weight
Facts.
at this point. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like they want us in this energy in our lower chakras because because if we're distorted to ourselves in our own mentality, then how will we rise as a collective, right? So
Right.
through the divine feminine, they have to go through the divine feminine to get to the divine masculine, right?
And we so silly as divine masculine, not to cut your wisdom, but we so silly as divine masculine that we don't realize the numbers of women being kidnapped, the number of little girls being kidnapped. We don't even take time to look at these numbers as divine masculine.
Boys too.
We don't take time to look at the small things. It's so many women being pushed through underground tunnels and sex trafficking right now. It'll blow your mind.
Yeah, young
You
like
feel what I'm
still
saying? We
still.
so worried about beefing with each other and being out on the street and doing this that we're not even recognizing our wives and our children and their mothers are being abducted and used for body parts and experimentation.
And then this is also
They could throw all the
in our
niggas in
lower
jail,
nature.
but we can't do that with the women. We need their melanin. We need their spiritual energy. We so stupid as masculine that we don't recognize what's really in front of us.
Yeah, we're misguiding our sexual energy, and sexual energy is powerful energy. And if we're imagine being in this distorted mentality, having sex with people, you're exchanging energy.
Right.
That's a whole lot of distortion. You're transferring this distortion, this distorted mentality over and over and over and over and over and over again. You know what I'm saying?
Facts.
That's why
Integrating sexuality and spirituality can be a very powerful tool.
exactly.
It can be used to heal past traumas, releasing shame, guilt, fostering, personal growth on all types of levels. But
Exactly.
You
That's
know?
what I was trying to say with it being
they're not
healed.
packaging it like that.
Exactly.
It shouldn't be packaged anyway, but they're packaging it to be the opposite of that. So
Exactly. So it's just like if we stay in this lower nature, there's no way for us to rise into higher states of consciousness. We've
Right.
sold you disconnected yourself. You've disconnected the body from the spirit at this point.
Facts.
And that's the true definition to me. That's the true definition of the mark of the beast. Is you separate your soul deep within your flesh that you forgot you even have a spirit. You know what I'm saying? You can't even connect with your own source. The source within you, which is source of all things, right?
I said.
So if you're just in, like, you know what I'm saying, like, if they got to the divine feminine to distort her, to lose faith in the divine masculine, and to distort herself, because the divine masculine, obviously, the way that he views life, they look at things differently. You guys are more visualized, and you guys are more intellectual, logical, and all those types of things, but when you see something as far as like a Jezebel, she's waving herself, you know what I'm saying, like she's pulling you down into her energy, like luring you into her dungeon.
And it's easy now because they have. I was just watching Black Magic last night with KT the arts degree on there. He was just basically talking about testosterone in the male and how they have lowered our testosterone's levels down to an all-time low. So that's why you see all these men running around acting like feminine. That's why they always on these podcasts about these gender wars. You know what I mean? Because we're not taking the time as masculine even really be masculine anymore, and it's through the agendas that's lowering our testosterone levels to the point where we're mostly estrogen now, where we are testosterone. You know what I mean? And there's so many things that play a part in this discussion. Like, I think this should be like another part two. When that, you know what I mean? This should be a
Yeah.
part two to this, because this is a whole rabbit hole. This is like a
Yeah.
whole onion of layers to unravel.
We got a question from somebody. Um, Lucius says, "What if a partner that wants too much sex? That was a past experience. I appreciate making love as much as the next man, but she wanted it way too much. Can this be a legit problem in some ways?"
Yeah.
Yes, and for one, if her intentions isn't correct, she's gonna drain the f out of you. She's
Yeah.
gonna drain everything out of you, and her intentions may be on herself. She may be doing it out of selfishness, or she may be doing it unconsciously. That's what you have to decipher as a masculine. Like, is she doing this like to drain me of all my energy because she recognized that my power is what's fueling her? Or is she doing this unconsciously because she really doesn't have a spirit, and her spirit is kind of in purgatory with the rest of them? Is she an NPC?
Distorted.
Right, that's what you got to ask yourself as a man. Is she an NPC, or does she know what she's doing, or is
Or
this
she
her
acting out of
trauma
trauma too.
of
We're
dealing
out of
with
trauma.
all of
Yeah.
these masculine that she has dealt with? And let me kind of like make her tone it down just a little bit, because as a masculine, one thing that I realized when I used to be hypersexual like that coming up, I recognized that a lot of that shit was taken away from my purpose. So now that I'm older now, and that I understand the law of correspondence, the law of relativity, the law of karma, and the law of dharma, I recognize that I am purpose driven now. And my goddess is purpose driven, but also intellectually and intuitively purpose driven. So when we doing things now, we do it out of intention. You know what I mean? And even in those days where she don't feel like it or I don't feel like it, that's okay with us, because we build on different levels. You see what I'm saying? So if she wasn't that too much, then what is she doing with herself? What is she
Also,
working on
too
within
much
her internal? What is she working
Right.
on with her external?
too much
Because if she
is
wanted
relative.
if she wanted that much,
What's too much?
and not only that, you draining her of that, you could be draining her of that energy as well. But she don't get that because she don't
He
like
said,
it.
"What's too much?"
Yeah. What is too much exactly? What does that mean?
Yeah,
You
well,
be
you know,
married
I
3 or
mean,
4
I would
times
say
a
this:
day.
if a
What is
man,
that?
like, I'm a little skeptical, because if a man, if a man's like, hey, this is too much, I'm like,
Oh, I've been
I'm
there.
like,
Oh,
how
I've
much
been there.
did she
I've
need
been
it? Because
there.
I'm like, that sounds like to me like siphoning of energy, if anything, and
No, for real.
if it's
That's
not, I mean, no, this siphoning of energy, like I said before, like people do these things unconsciously. You know what I'm saying? Like your energy just could be that pure that somebody's like, I need that. And they don't even understand why they're so attracted to you, but it's not even intentional to drain it from you. It's just that they're so in desperate need of what you have that they'll do anything to get it. Right. So it's just like you got to be mindful of the people that you give yourself to. Again, you can say it over and over, but also if somebody can't control their sexual urge, that is a huge red flag. Period.
He
And it
said
may
she
not be her. It may be the entity that's inside of her
Or
that
the
wants to
it,
feed off of your energy.
she wanted to every single day.
It may be the entity that's inside of her. It may not be her physically. It may not be her avatar. It's an entity walking within her. It's a sex demon in her that wants
No,
all
yeah.
of your power to keep fueling her.
there are people with higher drives and there are people with lower drives. You can't demonize everything. Lord Jesus, give me strength.
No, I'm not saying that, but I'm saying, but I'm saying, it could be so many things. That's what I'm trying to tell him. It could be so many things, but he has to have a level of discernment as a masculine
Right.
to understand that and to be able to discern that.
I mean, was
Yeah.
it literally every single day?
I don't think that
Every single day, every 5 minutes,
Multiple
bro. What
times
did
a
she do
day.
with her life? What did she do?
I
What
was,
did she do with her
I
life?
was, it goes back to what you call this, the person you are dealing with. You know what you call
Yeah.
this. Like you know what you call this. If you are dealing with
He said, I
someone
was the
who
devil.
is clearly not good for you, you know what you call this. it's going to feel like too much, you know what you call this, you know, because you're losing all that energy and not reciprocating any, you know. But you know what you call this, if it is with the person that you know what you call this, you know, that you love, that loves you, you know what you call this, you know, it's a situation of love, you know what you call this, a person that's good for you, you know what you call it. It will never be too much, you know what you
Yeah,
call it,
you're
because
it's
you know, you
yeah,
will
out of
always
sync.
to give, get back to give, you know,
Mhm.
and that
Yeah.
cycle, you know what you call this, will be a positive and fruitful.
Yeah, you know, because I think too, like the person, like if you feel like it's too much, then she just ain't the one for you because it's just like, you know, because
Like,
like I agree, like the person that truly loves you, like when you're in like a truly reciprocated connection that is divinely guided, it's never gonna be too much. You're gonna like you guys will want it at the same time. It's gonna be in balance. God dang, I'm like,
I
oh.
understand, my G.
But no, but still, you know, I think that anytime that you like especially sexually, because a person that you're with, you're gonna crave that person even unconsciously. You know what I'm saying? Like I feel like
Yeah.
it has an even balance with the person that you're destined to be with. It's just like, you know, because when you're like we're natural beings of, I don't know, we're human and we want to procreate, right? We want to create, whether that's, you know, children, whether, you know what I'm saying? We're here to be creative, right? And so when you're with the person that you're supposed to be with, that energy to create, to come together, to be one, to have intimacy is going to be natural, and it's not going to be forced. It's not going to be like you're, you know what I'm saying? It's never going to be enough, and it'll be balanced.
My man
Right.
Lucian said, "Can we really watch Netflix this time?"
I didn't see
Yeah,
that.
I feel you, brother. Like, damn, man. Can I get some orange juice or something? Get off of me, please.
No, you said I just want to chill.
Damn.
No, but that's the thing. Okay, I'm gonna address this because this is a real thing. People think that it's age, right? It's a fact. Women drives go higher in age. Men's drives go lower with age. So the fact that she's in her 40s does not mean that she's gonna not want it. She's probably going to want it more. 50s even more. That's just how it works biologically. And but you guys, if you are in a true relationship, right, and you guys both love each other, there have to be compromise, Lord. You can't, there's a compromise there.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
And then, you know, again, you know, it's just like sound like she might have sexy demon on her. That's what it said. I'm just kidding. No, but either way, it was, you know, you don't want to be in a connection to where it's not balanced in that way, because eventually it's gonna go down the drain, because in that, you know, you want to be in, you know, at least in a space to where either you guys can communicate it and compromise, or if you can't compromise, then let's not waste each other's time, because this is not my
Yeah.
steep, you know.
Nah,
And
for real. Because if that's all she attracted to is the physical, then hey, if you can't keep up, and the next physical thing that come around her gonna sway her attention from you. That's
yeah,
it. You
yeah,
know
and
what I mean? I
that's
got a couple
another thing.
jokey jokes here and there, and I've been there before where I felt like I wasn't doing enough, knowing damn well I'm going about 45 an hour every time, brother.
That's a whole
I swear I've been
marathon.
there. Shit, 10 minutes later. Oh,
I
let's
like
do
my
it again.
quickie.
God
Feel like
damn.
20 minutes
What the
tops. Shit.
Nah, now I know. Now I know when
We'll
I
come
want to
back
take
to it,
time
but that
to
whole like
focus
couple
on
hours
me,
straight,
when I want to
like
take time to
that shit
focus on
starts
me
to
within myself as a masculine, and I'm not giving you what you
starts
want,
to
that's going to sway your
catch
attention.
a
So I
fire.
can't have that. No, son.
but
That's facts.
eventually it wouldn't have been enough anyways. And like you said, you like hit it on the nose right there, because if eventually she's gonna find somebody else who's, if she's that sexually active, she's like,
Facts.
okay, I need to get it from somewhere. So she's gonna, you know, so it's just a lack of self control. And
Right. You don't need
you
that,
gotta look
brother.
at what the subconscious mind, or like what she's thinking back there, because you're like, damn, like, you know, if somebody is like every single, like, I don't know, like I want to judge, like, you know, you do what you do, baby. Maybe you'll find somebody who's on that same height, but it's just kind of like you got to make sure that you're in alignment with the person that you choose to be with, because it's not going to work out, especially in the sex, the arena of sex.
Not
Like,
the arena.
All jokes aside, bro. Who want to keep on walking down an empty hallway, brother? That hallway is empty. Everybody has left school, brother. Don't nobody want that empty hallway. You know what I mean? You the only one walking in the hallway after school. Everybody left tutoring, football practice over, brother. Why you keep on running up and down that empty hallway, man?
Yeah. So I'm guessing you're not with her now.
Right.
Yeah. It's ex. Yeah. See, it eventually.
Not gonna work. I mean,
experience. Everything happens for a reason. We all learn from experience. Right?
But I think, truthfully, if I would be scared if I had somebody that was like, if I had somebody like on me like that, and I'm not even like that, I'm like, okay, like you must like this is a problem. I would have to reevaluate something.
I'm like, hold on, let me stretch first.
I gotta get ready. You said he was 4. Yeah, you did the right thing.
Yeah, brother, you did good.
Yeah,
you did good, man. I'm happy for you, brother. You don't need that in your life. No more drama in my life. You know me, brother.
Oh man, that's a good one. No more pain, no more pain. Dang, I had a question for you guys too, and I forgot. Let me think for a second if I can remember.
Okay. Lucius is laughing. That's okay, bro.
I was so caught up in what he like. Lazarus was Lazarus. What he was saying.
Lucius.
Oh, Lucius.
Lazarus. Lord.
Hey, this raw conversations right here, yo. Right. Give it to you raw. You heard me.
That's right.
Oh, speaking of that, can I ask y'all a question?
Mm. Sure.
Okay, so this is a serious question when it comes to sexual, encounters and intimate encounters. Do y'all think like if women wear a condom or men wear a condom, it kind of like it kind of like blocks the energy because that raw skin to skin contact? Or do you think that's like
it might not make it feel
good, gonna be that based on
the energy? It's energy. You can't hide energy in a condom. You know what I'm saying? So it's gonna like that just pretend like you don't have one on at that point. If we're talking about energy, right? But on the other side, people don't like condoms, but it definitely energetically it doesn't matter.
I think
a question I always had.
I think it's both. I think there is energy exchanging anyway, yes, but also there is something about a deposit being made also.
Yeah.
Facts.
You know what I mean?
Because I think about how a mother, when she have a baby, how she skin to skin contact. So
I think that creates that maybe
y'all in there getting it on, y'all sweat rubbing up against each other, sweat and all. Y'all still exchanging body fluids. I'm pretty sure you're tonguing down and tonguing him down.
I don't know. I think that I think what you're saying though. I think that if I'm gonna think about it, I think that it still doesn't like change the fact that the energy is already being exchanged. But I do think that there's probably like the bond, the attachment becomes a lot stronger without it.
Yes.
If I'm gonna say that.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? Definitely.
Shit.
And also, I think also well, coming to the thing of condoms, and coming to the thing of intentionality, and finding the right person, I say, if you want to use a condom, then that's a clear sign that that's not the right person. That you shouldn't be doing this.
Right. Real shit.
good
What do you
one.
You already know getting into
You know what?
it.
I missed it.
Because yeah, I mean, you know what you call this. You know what you call this. It to me it shows a serious lack of commitment. You know what you call this.
Hold on,
Lack
hold on.
of
He said
commitment
if
to
you
what
he
you're
said if you
doing.
wear
You
a
know.
condom, that should be an indication that that's not your person. If you want to wear a condom.
Oh, really?
Mhm.
Interesting. Very interesting. Okay.
Okay,
Very.
I have one question. You know what you call this, you know what you call this. There's what you call this. I've recognized, you know what you call this. There's this mentality, you know what you call this. That when that word sexuality comes up, you know what you call this. You know what you call this. There are those who, when they think sexuality, only think of private parts. You know what you call this. What do you guys think of that? The localization of sexuality to private parts.
Ooh, I thank you for asking that because that just reminded me of my question.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Go
Which
go
was
go.
my question was what how can what is your perspective on sexuality or sexual energy outside of sex? So it's kind of like
Oh, beautiful. I love that. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love
but
it.
to think of, I mean, I guess it's the programming to answer your question because I mean, even for myself, you say sexuality, I'm instantly thinking about body parts. I don't, it doesn't, our level of awareness when it comes to sexuality, it's only, you know,
Mm-hmm.
about our body parts and,
That's
Right.
deep.
course and stuff like that. So,
Mm-hmm.
man, I am a victim.
That's deep. Me too.
That's a good question.
Right.
Oh,
I mean, like I love the spirit. Don't get me wrong. But if that thing pretty, I like that too. So I'm just saying.
So, Puka, can you kind of expound on your own answer to that question?
yeah, definitely, definitely. You know what you call this. I definitely agree with you. You know what you call this. There's the programming. You know what you call this. Intends to put sexuality in a box. You know what you call this. Make it what you call this. Yeah, localize it. You know what you call this
Yeah.
to parts. But from what we have discussed, what you call this, about the different traditions, what you call this, and how they relate to sexuality, about tantra, what you call this, and all of that, what you call this, we see that sexuality, what you call this, is something that can be explored even past, what you call this, body parts, what you call this, explored through touch, what you call this, like Cecilia spoke of, through smell, what you call this, through hearing, what you call this, through sight, what you call, like, Crandella has been telling us about, what you call this, it has, it's more than just, what you call this, what you call this, the
Universe.
localized body parts, what you call this, it's deeper, what you call this. And then going to what we were speaking about, what you call this, what you call this, there's a thing to degrade it, what you call this, to trivialize it, what you call this, make it something, what you call this, play toy thing, what you call it. But we have seen, what you call it, that it's something that is sacred, what you call this,
Yeah.
something,
Sacred energy exchange.
That's deep.
yes, yes,
So
yes,
would you?
yes.
So are we safe to say that like basically, anything that is, because if we're talking about sexuality, we're talking about the energy of, we're talking about sexual energy, right? So sex in itself, if we're looking at it from a spiritual stance, is sacred energy exchange. So technically, you can be having a conversation and build up sexual energy because it's not just about sex. It's about so much more than that. So
Yes.
And we're gonna dive a little deeper into the rabbit hole to say, I understand where you're coming from, Fuka, in the sense of when I hear this woman's voice, he raises up a certain frequency and vibration to make me feel sexually attracted towards her. When I feel her touch, when he say the senses, when I feel her touch, it put chills all through my body, and it raises up, a certain energy in me that makes me feel sexually in certain body parts. The way she listens to me, you know what I mean? Even when it comes down to the physical of the way she kisses me here or touches me there, it's a certain spiritual aspect that you have to have in order to feel externally attracted. You feel what I'm saying? To make a woman feel how she feel down there, make a man feel how she feel. Like, damn, I love her voice. Like, her voice do something to me. And that's something that's intangible. You see what I'm saying? Like, you can't touch nobody's voice. You can feel their voice. You can feel the frequency that's touching your spirit, that's making you feel that way. To look at her and be like, damn, she fun. You feel what I'm saying? Like, that's something within your spirit that's making you do that first. So I get what he's saying on that tip.
Yeah, and what that energy does, because another thing is that we don't have, like, when we feel those things and we feel that sexual energy rising, we don't have to jump in bed. You can use that same energy to start creating, coming up with new ideas. You feel me? And all of those kinds of things. And that's what that energy is. And if we learn to direct that energy in the proper way, we get a lot more done.
Get her done.
That's facts. That's real.
It's also like we always hear this. Well, I've always heard. I don't know everybody else, but they say that there's a lot of women who need build up, right? And so there's something about not just you just get together and just do, where it's all day. The conversation is leading up to it. The touches is leading up. There's something, and then when you finally get there, hallelujah, it's a different experience than if you just came together and just did whatever. But if it's an all day kind of thing,
build up.
That's that sexual energy building, and it wasn't because you were doing it. It's because of something that was said, a certain voice tone, a certain touch, a certain whatever that does that build up.
But even as women, it's important. Like, we got to understand as women, actually, because this is the thing. Again, that animalistic nature makes you just want to jump in and do whatever, right? But majority of women, they need that foreplay. Right, they need that the sensuality prior to that, or the emotional stability before that. They need the foreplay beforehand before they even get to the, you know what I'm saying? Because it takes a woman longer to basically orgasm than it does a man.
Yes.
Right. So before, you have to basically prep her and build that sexual energy. And this is why it was all like how you cultivate so much energy in tantric sexuality, or whatever you want to call it, you know what I'm saying? But in tantric, you're feeling the senses, you're seeing which in different areas of your body that you're actually take off. It could be behind your knee, it could be behind your ear. You know what I'm saying? There's so many different ways that we're aware of our bodies, the sensations that we have in our bodies, like that can actually build that sexual energy more powerfully, other than just jumping into it, right? Mm-hmm. But either way, for women, there is that need of build up.
Yeah. Okay. Oh Lord, I don't know if you guys want to tackle this question or not. All right.
Run! No, I'm just kidding.
You try to plug you up, brother. She try to plug you up, man.
Run for the hills.
The blood.
If you don't like,
on him.
If you ain't comfortable, you ain't comfortable, man.
No.
What
kind of toys?
On you, or just introducing it into the experience. There's nothing wrong with introducing it into the experience. But are you talking about on, like, what are you? I don't
I'm gonna be. Can I be real?
Okay,
can I be real, brother?
Embarrassed.
Oh, for her. That's to each his own. Me, like,
I mean, like, how I feel about it as a masculine. A lot of these women be made out of plastic nowadays. So that's why they resonate within that energy of wanting toys, because they plastic. You feel what I'm saying? They don't want the real thing because they ain't real within themselves. And I'm gonna equate that analogy to that, and hopefully you can break that down and be like, you know what, he was right. You know what I mean? Because they plastic, they fake, dog. They love fake. They not real. They don't want no real touch. They don't want, you know what I mean? But it ain't embarrassing. It ain't embarrassing. It ain't embarrassing to spice things up. Like, you know what I mean? You can get it. You can go to the sex store and get her some edible panties and eat them up off of them. You know what I mean? So it ain't.
Get the whip.
It all depends, bro. As long as it ain't no like. Them little panties with the little parties on there. You be eating them off. You feel what I'm saying? Like, yeah, that type of stuff. But as long as it ain't taking you out of as long as it ain't making you uncomfortable sexually, then I can't be mad at it. But if it's making you uncomfortable sexually, nah, dog.
After 10:30, it goes dark.
He said for her.
I understand.
He said for her. So I feel like, I mean, for me, like I feel like if you use toys, or if I use toys, like it's just gonna take away, like it's gonna take longer to build up when I actually, you know what I'm saying? I don't
sensation, right?
Right. No toys, but gadgets is good. Like I said, whips, gags, blindfolds,
I want to get used to something.
handcuffs, rope. You know, no,
I like the traditional.
I understand where Lucius is coming from.
Right. I mean that type of stuff is okay. Like
I understand where Lucius is coming
but
from.
you still doing the physical thing. But if you try to put a butt plug in your ass, boy, you gotta run. You know what I mean? Like it's shit that make you feel uncomfortable as a man. For real.
There's something out there.
I'm being for real. Certain shit that make you feel uncomfortable as a man, no, don't do that. Don't compromise your manhood or how you feel about yourself.
I think
what? For real? Because no, you're not gonna.
I understand where Lucius is coming from. You know what you call this? You know, because I would say many of us men, you know what you call this, like we view the whole thing, you know what you call this, as with the toys, you know what you call this, almost as an attempt to replace us, you know. And I want to speak to Lucian directly. I want to say, Lucius, you know what you call this, you have to examine, you know, your mindset on this, you know what you call this, you know, because what I learned is that, you know, the toys are not there to replace us, you know what you call this.
Right.
They are there to assist us, you know.
Yep.
So you have to change the mindset.
Assistance.
About
chime on this one.
The toys, you know.
Okay. So what about the men with their toys? I literally had an ex show up at my house with a whole damn half a body, big booty on it, toy, like.
I mean, I love the real thing.
How you gonna pack that?
Like, but as a masculine, like as a true masculine, what I pride myself on, I love to please my woman. And if my woman is pleased, then I know she's gonna please me. So I don't need the toys, me personally. But if that's what she like to do, then you got that right. I might eat something and play with a little something at the same time. You feel what I'm saying? Ain't nothing wrong with that. Yeah. You pleasing your divine feminine. You see what I'm saying? And in return, she's gonna please you.
Full conversation.
Because that thing gonna be gush gush. You feel me?
I think, you know, like, okay, so what, I mean,
what are you saying?
Like, for me, I think I'm like just overly analytical when it comes to this. Because I'm like, dang, like if I use this, like, you know, it might not be the same when I actually, you know what I'm saying? Like I'm like, you know, because
there is nothing that's going to replace
reliant on those things.
No, but there's I don't know. I can't speak for other people, but I can decide for me. There is nothing on the face on this earth that's going to replace an actual person. I don't care what it is.
Nope.
It's not going to be
all for funny games.
The idea that a toy can replace a man is ludicrous. Is one of the reasons why I could never be gay.
Right.
Just couldn't do it. Can't do that.
Right.
I understood.
I need it.
I never got that one.
Hard ass.
So that worry that if you use it, it's gonna make you not be able to use.
No,
That's
I'm
not a
kidding.
thing. It's not a thing. You'll be fine. Toys can hang at night, but they don't get on your nerves. Hallelujah. Sorry.
Toys can't hug
No. No.
You gonna miss me getting on your nerves, though. You gonna miss me getting on your nerves.
If the battery run out.
Yeah. You gonna miss it.
the
After
battery
a
run
while, that goddamn plastic not doing nothing all day. You like, damn, I miss that nigga getting on my nerves. That shit lifeless, soulless. But that's where spirituality comes in. You feel me?
Legit.
Now, what do you guys think of threesomes?
Oh shit.
I mean, for me personally, from a masculine perspective, I wouldn't mind doing it, but I'll let my divine feminine choose. If she's ever in the mood to be like, you know what, she bad, and I do feel like getting a little spicy, let's do it.
Like, yeah.
Then I'm cool with that, because I'm cool with that. You know what I mean? As long as she's comfortable within herself enough, as long as she don't have no insecurities or traumas that'll make her think I'm a double back or something that's gonna be trouble down the road. If it's just something like one time thing, like, you know what, we on vacation, we fucked up, and shorty on both of us, let's get her.
Let's get her.
Then we come, you feel me? Like, and then we come home and we'll never talk about it. But if I know you insecure, and I know you like, you still texting that bitch, ain't it? I know you gonna double back for that, ain't it? I ain't doing all that. No, I don't want it.
No,
that shit ain't nothing but a headache.
If you can do something like that, your
If that
relationship
makes sense. That makes sense.
Yeah. I'm good.
Relationship needs to be solid.
I'm like, nah. I'm
I've been the first 48. What happened to her? She just snapped.
Nah, for me, like, no. It's a no for me.
It's a no.
It's a no.
That no. Hard no.
Hard no, damn.
But hey, as a man, that's when you know she love you. That's when you know you good. You hear me? You good. You good. Cause she like, nah, fuck all that. This mine. If you get it to somebody else, I know what's gonna happen. This is mine. That's when you know you good.
Good. My shit. Put my name on it.
Right.
So I know it's real.
That part. So, oh man. So, no, I already have it. So basically, what are ways that you guys think that you can cultivate sexual energy without the, you know what I'm saying? Like without, like just the energy itself.
Dance.
Yes, absolutely.
Remember we used to dance back in the day? We used to do like, reggaeton or dance hall or whatever, or slow dance with, your partner. We don't do that no more, but my era, my days. Like that's a buildup of energy too. Chemistry, energy. Yeah. So.
Facts.
Or dance with yourself. Like I get in here when I'm creating my soaps and stuff, I'm putting on some good ass music and I'm over here like
absolutely. I agree. Music.
Yes, music.
Yes. Music.
And not only that, like I feel like I just want to go back to the segment earlier about judgment. Like, I ain't about to judge you, girl, for being no hoe. Let me see that hoe. Let me turn this music on. Bring that hoe up out of you, because I know that ain't no hoe. Let me bring that hoe up out you for real. You know what I mean? But it's living in a judgment-free zone for real. You see what I'm saying? And like Cecilia
with
said,
your partner. No,
bring it back to dancing, bring it back to frequencies, you know what I mean? And things of that nature, spicing things up every now and then.
Without sex, yes, definitely. Yep. I'm a massage therapist, so yeah, definitely.
Oh, and not only that, like to the divine masculine out there that's watching, a woman love it when you on your shit. There's nothing that turns a woman more than when you on your shit. And not only that, when you can show her you on your shit and then teach her something from you being on your shit, that shit really get them wet. They don't give a fuck about no body parts you got on you. When you can show her something that can cultivate her financially, because women love money and food. So if you can know how to make her a good move,
money, food, and emotion,
that's you, baby.
And show her how to
do all that.
You ain't, hey.
He out there in the yard, he out there to work. Like, damn.
Absolutely. And I think that, we got, again, it's also like with women, they need to hear and to have, like, they need the proof of your love as well. You feel me?
Yeah.
Like the emotional support. They need that bond with you in order to get themselves open. Like like the money and all that stuff, that's cool. But if there's no actual connection, a deep bond, an intimacy without the sex, then what I'm saying? There's no real, that energy is like flatline to a degree. You know what I'm saying? It takes away the sacredness of the connection when you don't have that emotional tie. And most women can't, like for me, I'm a sapiosexual. I can't deal with you or turned on by you if you can't stimulate my mind, teach me something. You know what I'm saying? So I think that, and also, just being emotionally intelligent and understanding your woman on that space, because as a divine feminine, we are more tapped into our emotional nature, and our emotions also are tied to our intuition. And the masculine helps us ground that. And if as a masculine, you're not in a space to help ground your woman while she's going through different emotions or this, that, and the third, then you haven't learned how to, you haven't yet, how do you say it?
I get what you mean, what you call it. The man must be emotionally intelligent to be able to control his emotion and manage his woman's emotions.
Mm-hmm. Not in a space to where the woman is out of control doing the most. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about just.
I get what you mean.
From another standpoint, I think that was displayed on social media and on television, where something has to be proven in order for you to prove your love for somebody. Like, you gotta be beefing with your baby mother for you to prove that you love me. You see what I'm saying? Like, you see a lot of that shit where you see the baby daddy, baby mama beef about another girlfriend and this, that, and the third. We put too much into that. You gotta prove to me physically that you love me by slapping the shit out your baby mother. No, that don't mean that. You feel what I'm saying?
No, I
that don't mean I love her, but that don't mean that I got any less love for you.
But that's a distorted. That's a distorted perception.
No, but that's
right,
not
that toxic shit.
Right.
That is not toxic. You're right. That isn't love. And you know what we don't understand too is just is remembering that everybody doesn't show their love the same. You have to understand your person's love language, the way that they show up in love. Right? Because you might think that this person doesn't care about you at all based on their actions and this, that, and that's just not the way that they love. They might not be emotional to the point to where they can be like, I love you all the time and I'm in your face. That's how women love. We like that type. You know what I'm saying? Not all men are in that way to where they're able to like constantly like be in that. More masculine men or whatever, they're just like, I'm gonna show you acts of service. You know what I'm saying? And it's just like we gotta understand love languages and understanding just like how your person exemplifies or gives their love, how they're able to show their love to you, and then also being in a space to be able to receive. You know what I'm saying? Y'all know what I'm saying.
It should be natural. It shouldn't be programmed.
It should be natural. Right, it should be natural.
My grandmothers, if we want to get real deep, that's a whole nother subject. Were programmed. They got married or they was even sexually active at the age of 13 with older men, and a lot of people don't know where granny wearing muumuus really came from, to be more open and for her to be accessible when a man came home. So a lot of sexual trauma that way has been passed down from generation to generation to generation.
Yeah. I want to just go into what Nova said here because it's a very important thing. A lot of people think this. A lot of women think this as well. It's the love language for the unhealed. My friend ain't think her dude cared unless they argued.
Man.
This is a
that's draining.
That happened and I'm gonna tell you, somebody who's had a one relationship that was physical and in a bad way. My first thought. Forgive me. My first thought was he must really actually care, and then my second thought is, "Girl, you crazy as to even think something like that." You know what I mean? But because what I heard from his past was he only did that to people he quote unquote cared about. That's bull crap. Don't accept that. That's not love. That is not love. That is not love. That is
No,
somebody
it's
that's
not.
toxic, and you need to run. And your friend need to get out that situation. That's not cool.
Right,
And
but
not
this
love.
is
it may
where
be a traumatic
this is where we build emotional intelligence to understand, or just not, just understanding where our traumas are coming from. Because what happens is that it's called learned. It's basically a program in simple
learned behavior.
learned behavior. You feel me? Like
Yeah.
when she was a
Talk
child,
about programs.
she might have been in an abusive household. And so the way that she viewed love was basically how she grew up. Her father could have been beating on her mom, and then she see her father turn back around and tell her mother, like, "Hey, I only did that because I care about you and I love you." And she's watching this as a child, and then she grows up thinking that this is how people express and show love. So
That was me.
you know what I'm saying? So it's just like,
For sure. I grew up watching that for real. And I always thought the only way a woman loved me is if she fucking do some toxic shit. You know what I mean? And I had to break myself out of that because I didn't realize how much trauma I was putting myself into, constantly replaying my past of seeing that every day. That is not no love language. That is not something that anyone should be proud of. You know what I mean? Like, no, get yourself out of any toxic relationships, whether it's friends, family, or a romantic relationship where it feel like it's so toxic that you got to argue every day because
That's gonna kill your ass.
right,
no, for real.
right,
But
and I'm logical, right? I don't move out of emotion, but when I feel like you getting me too emotional all the time as a masculine and as a Virgo, as somebody that thinks within their logic, when I feel like you getting me too emotional all the time, I gotta go now because you're triggering me constantly, and it's gonna bring me to a point where I lash out, and I don't want to do that, so I can't do toxic no more. You feel what I'm saying? That's just not me. I need to be calm. I need to be centered. You feel me?
Yeah, and this is where, if you're not aware, if you can't heal something you're unaware of, as we know, right? So this is just where it comes to just remembering that, if you have, like, you can only help a friend so much. If they're still in that wounded energy, they don't see nothing wrong like they feel it, they sense it, but they can't act on it, I should say.
Right.
Because in a sense to where they'll create a defense, or they'll create excuses around this person because they are looking for the potential or what they had thought was this person in the very beginning. You hold on to that first impression. To me, I don't really believe in first impressions. I don't. Everybody's on their best behavior when you first meet them. Time will tell me who you are. Then, but we tend to hold on to that first version of what they showed you, and you always look back at that as the foundation of, your connection or your relationship. So we do that out of trauma and wounding and stuff like that. But we just gotta look into our childhood and certain experiences we have to identify why we do what we do. And once you understand your own childhood and what you experienced, you can identify certain patterns that you have that were derived from that experience. And once you are aware of those things, then you can put the effort into reprogramming yourself.
And you hit that on the head.
It's toxic. Studying what toxicity looks like, the simple things could be toxic. Like somebody, you know what I'm saying? Like, and we don't even realize these things until we actually do the inner work, or we just study it to become aware of. Not all of us has to do has to start off just doing the internal work. That can take a long time. Sometimes you just might have to look at, what does a toxic relationship look like?
Right.
That was the hammer on the nail right there. You know what I mean? Because, like you said, of course everything's gonna be peaches and cream in the beginning, but overall within myself, I can say, like, even through all her flaws, can I always love her the same? Yes, I can. You know what I mean? And when I can say that to myself, and release judgment, not only within my mind and in the physical, but in the spirit, then that's when I know that is truly for me. And I'm like, but as long as we ain't doing none of that abusive shit and all that police and that toxic shit niggas be doing these days. Ain't nobody doing all that. But I'm saying like the smaller flaws, the things that you can get past. You know what I mean? Like you can excuse those things because we live free of judgment. Like I'd rather deal with that for the rest of my life than to deal with this toxic shit over here. If that makes sense. As a masculine, that's how we think.
Yeah. And then what Lucia said, like, or you don't realize until it's too late. Which, you know, it's fine. We're all gonna, you know, we're gonna experience toxic relationships at one point in our life, or
we were toxic at one point in life. Right?
At one point, because those same relationships are gonna teach you what that is, what you like.
It was on purpose, right?
It was an initiation to higher states of consciousness, deeper realizations of self. You feel me? Like more awareness. So we can't act like, you know, being in a toxic relationship has no purpose or serves no purpose,
right?
In suffering. Like, no, it'll show you, you know, different, like it changes your perspective a lot of the time, majority of the time. So we just gotta kind of like, if you don't realize it at first and you're deep in this connection, you probably were meant to experience that connection in order for you to awaken to the pattern that you've been in.
That's it.
And it's not one person in a toxic relationship. Both sides is toxic.
Yeah.
It's both sides. It's
exactly.
Toxic. So there's a lesson both sides need to learn.
There's a lesson on both sides. You can't, you know, we're like I was saying earlier, you will find out who you are by who you allow into your immediate circle, who you allow to, you know what I'm saying? Because like I was saying, like we can attract many people into our reality. That doesn't mean that we're these people. It's the person that you say, hey, I like you. Come rock with me. Come walk with me. Come roll with me. Let's talk on the phone. Let's chill. Oh, 2 years later, 6 months later, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, and then you'll start seeing, like, because there's a familiarity, like there's something familiar about this person, something that resonates with you about this person or this experience with this person, right? And so that's why it's important for us to become really aware of the type of people that we're attracted to and that we allow into our circle, so that we can take a deeper look into ourselves and see what part that resonates with us, right? So that we can either fix it or we can celebrate it. Because there's positive things and attributes of ourselves and other people that other people mirroring us too. It's not all negative.
Right.
Even in toxic, you know, situations, but it's always a learning experience nonetheless, in that there's always something to be gained. Like you can, like, as long as you learn the lesson, the experience is never in vain.
Yep. Facts, factual. Well, I thank you guys for tapping in with us for this discussion. We went through so many different aspects.
We did.
We even went to a little late night. You know what I'm saying? But
at 10:30, it starts to
make you want to start the after hour, huh?
But it was nice that you guys continue tapping. We're gonna have so many more discussions coming up, so many more panel discussions and other projects coming up. So please continue to just keep an eye on what we're doing. If you're not subscribed, please subscribe. Consider hitting that notification bell so you don't miss out on any of our videos. And just thank you guys. I want to thank everybody who's on this panel with us today. I appreciate every single one of y'all perspectives. Really, really love all of you guys. This is my tribe. So I'm very happy.
Love you too. Love you.
I'd like to give y'all flowers real quick. I don't know any other podcast that's giving you so much diversity, from tarot to divine feminine conversations to divine masculine conversations to the panel, bringing both of them together. Y'all are giving so much balance into every aspect and every area of where spirituality needs to be touched on. You know what I mean? And that's what separates y'all from a lot of others. And not only that, all the conversations are raw. We don't hold nothing back, you know, and we continually to genuinely be ourselves authentically in all of our nature. You know what I mean? And I respect you, Gia, and I respect you, Kai, for, you know, being able to put this together, you know, every single week and maintaining that energy and maintaining that strength as the divine feminine to keep constantly coming and showing up and being the example. you know, from a divine masculine standpoint. We love y'all and we appreciate y'all. So I'm giving y'all flowers.
And some flowers.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
some flowers.
Thank
Oh, thank you. I love those things.
Virtually.
Definitely.
Thank you. Received in return, you know, it wouldn't be, you know, a thing without everyone. So I appreciate you guys tapping in and just being a part of this experience. You know, you guys also his clothing line is in the link in the bio. Hit up Cecilia. She has so many different things. She is a jack of
I do it all. I'll be trying to narrow down to a couple of things, but I can't. Is that it? But yeah,
yes, I know.
Some new hot fire. Stay tuned.
Ashe, yes.
Like I said, I can't let the cat out the bag because it's too much.
I can't wait.
Don't forget to plug yourself in, Kyle. Let them know about the master class.
Oh yes, so you guys have a master class that's coming up in a couple. On the 17th is an empowering master class teaching you how to learn how to empower yourself internally, alchemize your internal reality, and truly become like, you know what I'm saying, dance with your ego in a harmonious way, other than, you know, belittling yourself and just making yourself feel like you're not enough, and just basically bringing you into a space to where you learn how to transmute those negative thoughts, emotions, and be at peace with yourself and the divine. Okay, so you guys tap in with me. It's on May 17th. You can check the link in my bio, or you can go to my website.
Yeah, tap in. Right.
Yes, and then we also are working on a panel like class as well. That's going to come up. It's going to be all of us, and we'll be tapping into shadow work, the shadow self. And so you guys just make sure you guys stay tuned. That is coming up. Okay. Make sure you guys subscribe to Cosmic Konnectionz on YouTube, Spotify, TikTok, Instagram. You feel me?
All the places.
All that. Right.
All the places. All the places.
Love y'all.
Peace.
All right, you guys. We'll definitely
peace and hair grease.
We'll keep you posted on what's coming up new. Thank you again for tuning in with us, and we will catch you guys in the next one. Bye.
Bye.